So this is lesson 3, responding to emergencies. So when you're working in a practical environment like ours, it can come with many risks. This is why it's vital that you pay attention to everything you learn in this course, because this will tell you exactly what you need to do and how to do it. Now this lesson will talk you through some of the emergencies that you might experience at the garden, and how to deal with them. So one of the first emergencies you might encounter are fires. Now in the event of an accidental fire anywhere on site, you would raise the alarm by ringing a bell that can be found in the tea shed. While you're making your way to the safest fire point, do not attempt to pass the fire and do not attempt to put the fire out. If you are lighting a fire on site, you should follow the following guidelines. Always get permission. Always light the fire in the fire pit. Always do your safe lighting of fire training first. Always have a bucket of sand and a bucket of water nearby. Never light near a tree or long grass, as the wind can blow the fire towards them. Always move around the fire in one direction, maintaining a distance of around 1.5 to 2 meters. Now, the next type of emergency that may occur is pond or river accidents. Never work in the river or in the pond without a second person, and only then with permission and in designated areas. The depth of the pond and the power of the rivers can never be underestimated. And so in cases of river or pond safety, always follow the following guidelines. Always get permission first, so that we can ensure that your supervisor is first aid trained. Always wear correct PPE, like wellies, waders, gloves. Always ensure that you are secured by a rope that's attached to something like a tree. Always have a second person with you. If somebody has fallen in the river or the pond, do not attempt to help them yourself, but you always call to a first aider who will be close by. Now, all of those things are really important with ponds and rivers, because there is lots of bacteria in the pond especially that can cause serious illnesses, and obviously the river is quite dangerous. So other incidents that might occur: stings or burns from plants and nettles. Now, firstly, if you're wearing your PPE, you're unlikely to get stings or burns. Your best protection is always to understand the plants that you're working with, and later on in the course you will learn all about the different plants. You will learn about how the ancient people used them for medicines, and you learn about the dangers of the plants. But you always follow the following guidelines. Always wear your correct PPE. Plants such as hogweed that can cause burns in the sunlight should never be cut by a strimmer. Nettle stings can be eased by getting an antiseptic wipe from a first aider and wiping the nettle hairs from the stings. But always go straight to a first aider who will make sure that you or anybody else is treated properly. And lastly, we have fallen or unstable trees or branches. So with our site being on a floodplain, sometimes trees can be lifted at the root by the water. The wind can tear branches too, so regular risk assessments are needed, especially on the trees. If you spot a branch or a tree that looks dangerous, let the health and safety officers know and they will deal with it. Never attempt to cut a branch of a tree yourself. Trees should only ever be cut during autumn and winter months, ideally, because that's when they're asleep, and if we cut them during those times, it'll prevent them from having an open wound which could become infected.